Hi, this is Judy from Fox Cities Quilt Company, and this is Sunday from the Sewing Room. I'm just going to get right to our tutorial today, and I wanted to talk to you about scale. We often find ourselves with some leftover fabrics, and they may or may not go together, and some are from a line of fabric and some aren't. But a good thing to make your quilt more interesting is to think about the scale of the fabrics that you're using that will marry together. So I'm going to be doing a quilt from this line of fabric right here. This is called Minnick. We have this entire line. This is called Minnick, from Minnick & Sin by Moda, and it's called Crystal Lake. So as you can see, I have 3 different colors here and all kinds of different fabrics. There's about 15, 17 fabrics here. And I'm going to be making a quilt from these. And I have decided that this is going to be my outer border. So I picked out my border first because then it was easier for me to pick out the colors that go in it. And these are from the entire line. So with this one, I left this out of the fat quarters that I'm going to use because I want this to be a nice frame. So when I'm going to put these blocks together, I really want to think about the scale of colors that are going to work together and the scale of the print that is going to work together. So for instance, let's say I have a quilt or a block that needs 2 different fabrics, let's say a light and a dark. I may pick this light fabric for it because perhaps something in that block has a larger square. Let's say if it's a star that has a big 4.5-inch square in the center, this might be a very good one for the center of that star because of the scale of the fabric. So if you have something that has a larger block, you may want to think about something with a larger scale. So, and let's say that I need a fabric for my points, and I still want this to be a nice focus, and obviously the fabric for the points is going to need a smaller scale because they're going to be smaller pieces. So I like this paired with it because I like the scale of it. This still stands out nicely, and this still blends nicely, and both are attractive together because of the scale. The scale of this isn't pulling away from the scale of this one. Or conversely, if I wanted to use another blue, this scale is very tight and this scale is quite large. So let's do the opposite though. Let's go with something that has a really small scale, and you need a lot of small pieces, but you still want interest. So if it took 4 fabrics, I would not put 4 scales together so that you could see each fabric as individual, but yet it would meld together. So I like this small scale fabric, and let's say I needed 2 lights. So I'm going to put this with it because I find this to be a medium scale. This still is beautiful on its own, and this doesn't pull away from it because of its scale. And then I would like to do another, let's say another brown in this, or just something that's contrasting. And I like the scale of this, even though this is a medium scale. The scale of this has more of a directional or a weave to it. It doesn't have the same feel as this scale, nor does it have the same feel as this scale. And then I want to go with something else, and let's say it's a light, and I want to pull out a larger scale. So perhaps I would pull this one into it as well. So I have my browns, and this is a little larger scale. These 2 are a medium scale, but they have a different feel. One feels like a basket, one feels like an all-over print. And then this one here has a small scale. And these all go together nicely, and the scales are contrasting. So then let's talk about all large scales. And I'm going to show you what that does. So if I had a block, let's say it's a 4 patch, and it calls for two different ones. We're going to put a light and a dark on opposite corners, so you would go dark, dark, and light, light. Let me show you what happens if you put something with the same scale together. It doesn't really give you much interest. So if I use these two together in a large 4-patch, this really doesn't give me a whole lot of interest. But if I were to use this large scale and we went with a small scale for a 4-patch, that gives you so much more interest. Each fabric will stand out on its own, and yet it will still complement each other. So when you're thinking about putting blocks together and you want something scrappy, always think about scale. Weigh your scales and play with them, and make sure that they complement each other rather than meld in or fight each other. And that's it today from Sunday from the Sewing Room, and we'll see you next week at the shop. Bye-bye.